Put yourself in the mud of 14th century England. Your family is starving, your hands are calloused to the bone, and the crown is demanding money you simply do not have. Is it justified to murder a 14-year-old boy to save your own life? That brutal moral calculation is the driving engine of the upcoming thriller, The Uprising. Starring Andrew Garfield, the film adapts the true story of the 1381 Peasants' Revolt. This was an event of staggering scale. Over 10,000 ordinary agricultural workers abandoned their fields and forged crude weapons, mobilizing into an organized rebel army to hunt down the ruling class. This was a violent explosion of the working class against concentrated wealth, an armed movement that stripped away political abstraction to reveal raw, modern-feeling economic rage. Look at 14th century England. Following the Black Death, population drops 50%. With a halved labor pool, surviving workers are exhausted. Yet the red line, representing taxes for overseas wars, spikes sharply upward. At the top of this system sits King Richard II. At just 14 years old, he inherits a bankrupt kingdom and immediately authorizes a massive new poll tax. Every single commoner over the age of 15 is ordered to pay a flat, non-negotiable fee. Enter Garfield's character, a man known simply as the Plowman. Like most of the peasantry, he is a reluctant participant in the politics of the realm. He plows his fields, keeps his head down, and only wants to be left in peace. But you cannot extract infinite wealth from a finite, starving population. The combination of severe economic extraction and a disconnected, youth-led monarchy created an environment where the peasants had absolutely zero left to give. Logistically, an uprising of this nature should fail immediately. Unarmed, malnourished farmers cannot fight the world's most powerful, heavily armored military force. But survival instincts override logic. When royal tax collectors ride into the villages to enforce the king's new decree, they find empty pockets. In response, the soldiers resort to physical violence, brutally attacking a young village girl to set an example. Having watched his community be bled dry for years, this is the plowman's breaking point. He snaps, engaging the armed soldiers in a physical altercation that accidentally sets off a chain reaction of violence across the village. The social contract shatters the moment a local injustice is committed, sparking a war long before the first political manifesto is ever drafted. To capture that kind of raw panic on screen, the studio brought in director Paul Greengrass. He is the architect of the highly kinetic, documentary-style chaos that defined the Jason Bourne franchise and Captain Phillips. Most medieval dramas rely on stiff, theatrical staging and wide, sweeping landscape shots. Greengrass throws the camera right into the middle of the melee. The lens is covered in dirt. The frame shakes with every sword swing, and the violence feels suffocatingly immediate. This gritty approach was a long time coming. The script spent years in development, with highly sought-after leading men like Matthew McConaughey and Benedict Cumberbatch previously slated to play the rebel leader before Garfield secured the role. By treating the 1381 revolt like a modern-day riot in a war zone, Greengrass intentionally strips away the glossy romanticism we usually associate with kings and castles. With the spark lit, the plowman rallies 10,000 enraged agricultural workers. They leave their farms behind and march directly toward London to demand an audience and potentially the head of the king. Standing between the farmers and the crown is a formidable political and military apparatus brought to life by a heavy-hitting supporting cast that includes Jamie Bell, Stephen Dillane, and Tom Hollander. The ensuing collision results in massive, epic daylight street battles. Tens of thousands of people converge on the narrow streets of the capital, turning the center of English power into a slaughterhouse. Because once you draw the blood of the king's men, the time for negotiation is over. You have committed high treason. The only remaining outcomes are total victory or absolute massacre. The 1381 revolt ended exactly as you might expect, when desperate farmers meet a professional military. It concluded in blood, false promises from the crown, and the brutal execution of the rebel leaders. The uprising skips the standard sword and shield heroics to focus on the reality of that conflict. It is a hyper-realistic look at what happens when the working class is pushed entirely past the point of endurance. You can witness the chaos for yourself when The Uprising hits theaters on September 11th. It serves as a visceral reminder of a timeless historical rule. The most dangerous force on Earth is a population that has been stripped of everything but its rage.